When to quit your job and go full-time into real estate. In this video, I'm going to share 3 tips so that you can figure out when the right time will be for you to go full-time into real estate. My name is Tyler Roicki. I help people build income and wealth in real estate, and I run an international real estate team at eXp Realty. If there is anything I can do to help you now or in the future, go ahead and reach out to me. You'll find my email along with some other helpful resources for you in the description below. And if you find this video helpful and get any value whatsoever out of watching it, all I'd ask is that you like, comment, and subscribe so that I can continue to share more tips and resources with you in the time ahead. And with that in mind, let's dive into the video. Now, before I share the 3 tips with you, I'll just say this. When you're starting out in real estate while simultaneously working a full-time commitment outside of real estate, the timing never is going to be quite perfect in terms of when it's the right time to make that shift and commit full-time to real estate. The timing can and will vary person to person based on a variety of factors, including current expenses and bills, dependents, etc. When you're starting out in the real estate industry as a newly licensed real estate agent, it's unlikely that you'll make any money whatsoever for the first few months, at the very least. It's not to say that you can do everything in your power to create the best possible situation and to create some income for yourself over those first few months, but I'm just speaking from the standpoint of, hey, you're launching a brand new business and we're talking about the first few months, let alone year 1 in that business. Look at any business whatsoever out there. Did any of them have much to write home about from that first year in the business? Probably not. Even the biggest brand names you know of today, their first year probably wasn't something that they write home about. The ideal situation starting out in real estate is that you would have your expenses covered by something else so that you can dedicate your full-time focus and attention on your real estate business. So for instance, if you were in a situation where your existing expenses were low or very minimal, or you had a working spouse who covered all the expenses, or better yet, if you had 12 months of reserves set aside that you could cover all your bills with as you got started in real estate. And like I said, those would be ideal circumstances, but reality is that you may not have any one of those things going for you at all. And you may be in a situation where you've got expenses that you need to have covered and you've got a family that you need to take care of while simultaneously getting the ball rolling and creating a new income stream in real estate. So with that in mind, let's get to the 3 best tips I have for those of you who are in that situation. The first tip is maximize your 5 to 9 plus weekends. What I mean by that is absolutely maximize the time that you have to commit to your real estate business outside of your full-time job. So if you work a 9 to 5 Monday through Friday, for example, you're going to want to maximize the amount of time that you put into real estate outside of those working hours. Don't limit yourself based on the idea of a 40-hour work week. Reality is you're starting a business and it's going to require that you give it your energy, time, and best effort consistently in order to see any traction whatsoever going forward. You need to find as much time as you possibly can outside of your full-time working hours to put into building your real estate business. So if you're working a 9 to 5, make that 5 to 9 count and work the weekends plus overtime. So here's a breakdown of what I'm saying just for example. Say you take the 5 to 9 hours after your full-time job. You do that 5 days a week, Monday through Friday. That's 20 hours. Now, if you include weekends, work Saturday and Sunday, and you work not just 8 hours on your real estate business, but let's make it 10. Like I said, throw some overtime on there. Well, 2 10-hour days plus 20 hours throughout the week is 40 hours that you would have to commit to your real estate business. And that's an example, and I understand that those exact hours and even number of hours isn't going to be something that is on the table as an option for everyone. But look at your schedule and look at your commitments and figure out where the hours are going to be going towards your real estate business. And know that you're going to have to put in a lot of hours up front, and to do that consistently week after week after week for a long period of time in order to see any financial payoff whatsoever. That's simply the nature of what you're getting into. And if you fail to give it enough time and energy consistently enough for long enough, then it's unlikely that you'll see any financial payoff whatsoever. The second tip is look at the time-money trade-off. When it comes to making the transition into real estate full-time from a previous career, most people only look at the money trade-off. Meaning they look at the total income they're earning working that 9 to 5, and they look at real estate thinking that when they hit that same income level in real estate, that's when it would make sense to leave that 9 to 5 behind. But as long as we're only looking at the dollars, we're only considering the money portion of the trade-off, when in reality, it's a time and money trade-off that should be taken into consideration. So don't forget to factor in the time that you would be gaining when you actually make this transition. To illustrate, let's say that you're working a salaried paid position, earning $50,000 a year, working 40 hours per week. Another way to think about that is you're selling 40 hours of your time per week for about $25 an hour. So when it comes time that you step away from that full-time salaried position, not only do you leave behind the income, but you also free up that 40 hours in which you were selling. And at that point, you'd have the option to take that time in which you've gained and pour it directly into producing more revenue in your real estate business. So let's say hypothetically that you're starting out in real estate while working that 40-hour per week salary job, and that you're able to carve out another 20 hours on top of that full-time job to commit toward getting your real estate business off the ground. And let's say that you did that over the course of your first year in real estate, and let's say the result of that was that you were able to successfully produce the same level of income in that 20 hours per week working on your real estate business as you did that 40 hours working your full-time job. So question is, does it make sense to leave behind the salaried position at that point, or would it have made sense to do so prior to that? Now imagine if you could achieve that with 20 hours per week, what you could do if you had that 40 hours you were working the salary job to commit towards building your real estate business. I mean, what would year 2 look like at that point? Or on the other hand, let's say hypothetically that you didn't fully replace your income year 1 in real estate, but you earn about half of what you do on your salaried position. Then what? Well, if you could manage to earn about half the income working half the hours in real estate as you do your salaried position, again, imagine what you could do if you could take an additional 40 hours and put it towards building your real estate business. Then what? So my point with sharing those hypothetical examples is that it's easy to think that we need to get to a point where we've fully replaced our salaried income before making that transition full-time into real estate. When in reality, we need to also factor in the time in which you'd gain at the point you'd make that transition. And once you have a certain level of momentum built up in your real estate business, you may be closer to a point where you can make that transition and successfully use that gain time to propel your real estate business forward further. So consider the time-money trade-off when you're deciding on when to make that transition. And that brings us to the third tip I have for you, which is consider what the break-even is. When you can cover your bills on real estate alone, buy back your time. Another way to figure out when the right time is for you to make that transition is when you can cover your living expenses with the income you've produced from real estate. So you'll want to make a budget. So look at your bank accounts and your credit card statements to figure out what you spend every single month on all your expenses. And this is a great point in time to begin to eliminate any expenses that are non-essential. And once you figure out what your total monthly expenses are, you can multiply that by 12, and then you know exactly what you need to bring in annually in order to cover those expenses. And regardless of what you earn outside of real estate right now, once the income you achieve in real estate equals or surpasses your expenses in a 12-month period, you'd be at a point where you can make that transition full-time in real estate and be able to cover all of your expenses. But better, you'll have back the extra time that you would otherwise be spending outside of your real estate business. So you can take that freed up time and put it towards producing even more revenue in your real estate business. I mean, show me another way that you can get the kind of raise that you could produce by having that freed up time and being able to put it towards building more of your own business to a higher earnings threshold. So it should be an easy decision to make by that point. At least you'd have the freedom and flexibility on the financial side of things to be able to make that kind of move. Even if you enjoyed having both incomes or the extra income you'd have with the salary job, at some point you have to make a decision. Sometimes we have to let go of good in order to go after great. And so those are the 3 tips I have on how to figure out when the right time is to quit your job and go full-time into real estate. To summarize, maximize your 5 to 9 plus weekends. Put in an additional 40 hours if you possibly can into real estate, and if not 40, give it everything you've got with as much time as you could possibly commit outside of your 9 to 5. Factor in the time money trade-off. Don't just look at the salary you'd be leaving behind, but also consider the time in which you would be gaining back to be able to invest back into your real estate business, and figure out where your break even is, to which point you would be able to cover all of your living expenses by what you could bring in real estate, and know when you've hit that mark so that you can take that next step forward if you haven't already by that point. If you found the tips I shared in this video to be helpful at all I'd ask is that you like, comment, and hit that subscribe button so that I can continue to share more tips and resources with you in the time ahead. And if you're launching your career in real estate right now as a licensed real estate agent, or you're nearing that point, I'd love to know how I can best help and be a resource for you. So if there's anything I can possibly do to help you now or in the future, go ahead and reach out to me. You'll find my email along with some other helpful resources for you in the description below. And with that in mind, thank you so much for watching the video, and until next time, I'll look forward to seeing you on the next video.